Dems pop their dentures when Schiff finally gets censored. And so the House condemns the lies of the man with the zombie eyes. Last night, the House voted on party lines to censure Adam Schiff for promoting the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, which was as believable as Brian Kilmeade getting fan mail. 2 for 2. Schiff becomes only the 26th member ever to be censured, but to his credit, he's still the only member to have a 12-inch neck.
Adam Schiff strutted into the spotlight like a man who thought the stage was set just for him, ready to deliver another carefully rehearsed monologue of doom. What he didn't realize was that Greg Gutfeld was already there, grinning like a fox who had smelled dinner, waiting to turn Schiff's big moment into a public demolition. Schiff came armed with solemn expressions and stacks of stale rhetoric, while Gutfeld showed up with sarcasm sharper than a razor blade and a smirk that screamed, "This is going to hurt." It was never a fair fight. Schiff thought he was walking into a debate. What he walked into was a comedy roast disguised as politics. Gutfeld didn't bring policy papers or binders full of evidence. He brought flamethrowers of wit and the kind of punchlines that don't just sting, they scorch. Schiff, on the other hand, carried nothing more than a political water pistol, spraying mist at a raging wildfire.
Poor Adam. He really thought he had him. Well, we've talked about who won the impeachment trial. Now let's talk about who didn't. As I've said before, don't think the Dems aren't going to stop trying to find dirt on Trump. They'll look anywhere. Hell, they'll go to a local high school if they thought they'd find the goods there. Right, Adam?
The crowd could sense it immediately. This wasn't about arguments. This was about spectacle. Schiff's opening lines fell flat like balloons at a party long past midnight. But Gutfeld's sarcasm sliced through the air with such force that even Schiff's stern glare couldn't mask the growing discomfort. It was a takedown unfolding in real time, and Schiff didn't even realize the ground beneath him was collapsing. Every pause Schiff made, every heavy brow he flashed, every "trust me, I know secrets" performance only made the laughter louder. He strutted onto that stage like the star of a political soap opera, but Gutfeld was there to expose him as nothing more than an extra with too many lines. Schiff's habit of promising explosive revelations that never arrive had already worn thin. Tonight, it was ripped apart. Greg Gutfeld, grinning like a man who already knew the ending, let Schiff dig his own grave with dramatics that had lost all weight. Schiff tried to summon gravitas, but his words felt hollow, echoing promises of bombshells that never existed. Gutfeld pounced, turning each serious moment into the setup for another sarcastic punchline. And the truth? Schiff never stood a chance.
What'd you think I was going to say? Being censored, which is basically an official serious scolding, is a punishment just below being expelled from Congress. But when Speaker McCarthy made the announcement, Democrats did what they do best, mindlessly scream hysterical nonsense.
The resolution adopted. Without objection, the motion to consider is laid on the table. House will be in order. The House will be in order. I have all night.
I have all night.
Before we go deeper, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. If Schiff was the professor scolding the class for not doing the homework, Gutfeld was the rebellious kid in the back, making the entire room laugh. Schiff's weapon was gravitas. Gutfeld's weapon was comedy. And comedy always lasts longer than solemn warnings. By the third exchange, it was clear. Schiff wasn't just losing, he was being dismantled, piece by piece. Watching Schiff's performance was like waiting for a pizza delivery that kept texting. 5 minutes away. Hours later, still nothing. That's his entire brand. Promises of something explosive, but the reveal never shows up. And Gutfeld tore into that pattern, reminding everyone that Schiff's biggest enemy wasn't Trump. It was his own endless hype, with no delivery. The takedown became so brutal, it was almost theatrical. Schiff looked like a magician caught exposing his own tricks. He waved his hands, tried to conjure gravitas, but the audience could see the wires holding up the rabbit. Gutfeld didn't just expose the illusion, he shattered it.
Sure that we uncover the full details about the conditionality of either the military aid or that meeting with the Ukrainian president. It may not be necessary to take steps that might reveal the whistleblower's identity to do that.
Not necessary, so much for transparency. But like everything, the Dems haven't thought this through. So not only are you going to impeach Trump, you're going to do it in secret, in the dark, reversing an election based on hearsay from some anonymous guy you will never, ever see who has ties to Democrats.
Schiff stood there like a man roasted so thoroughly he might as well have shown up with marshmallows strapped to his suit. The more Schiff doubled down on his theatrics, the easier he made Gutfeld's job. Schiff warned of dangers, hinted at secrets, promised fireworks. But Gutfeld only had to smirk, and the entire room collapsed into laughter. Schiff was pouring gasoline on the fire while insisting he was putting it out, and Gutfeld stood back, letting the flames burn brighter. Schiff wanted this moment to be history. Instead, it became parody. His greatest weapon, the performance of seriousness, was stripped away. He didn't look like the custodian of democracy. He looked like a tired actor trapped in a rerun of a show that got cancelled years ago, and Greg Gutfeld made sure everyone in the room knew it. By then, Schiff wasn't even aware of how badly the stage had turned against him. He kept talking, delivering the same tired script, believing repetition could rescue him. But repetition doesn't win against ridicule. And Gutfeld's one-liners turned Schiff's entire career of cliffhangers without finales into a living joke.
For a party named after democracy itself, they do sure hate it when people vote on stuff. But he did have to go to the front of the chamber known as the Well. Think of it as like a walk of shame, and not the kind I did this morning leaving Hemmer's place. I only had one shoe. To discuss this further, we go to the man himself. An audience, no booing. We are a respectful show here. Please welcome Congressman Schiff. How are you?
Shame, shame, shame. Shame on you. Oh, yeah.
This wasn't just about Adam Schiff losing an argument. It was about watching the collapse of an entire act built on drama without delivery. Schiff thought his gravitas could silence the mockery. But mockery doesn't care about gravitas. Comedy doesn't respect solemn tones. It punctures them, exposes them, and leaves them bleeding on the stage. When the laughter began, Schiff's credibility vanished. Every attempt at seriousness was swallowed by chuckles. Every promise of evidence became another reminder of all the times he failed to deliver. Gutfeld didn't just roast him, he rebranded him. From serious watchdog of democracy to walking punchline of politics. And the brilliance of it all? Schiff handed Gutfeld the material. Years of recycled accusations, hearings that fizzled, cliffhangers that collapsed. Gutfeld turned them into a comedy routine that hit harder than any fact-check or debate. Schiff thought he was in control. He didn't realize he had already become the joke. It was a demolition dressed up as a debate, a spectacle where laughter carried more weight than policy points. Schiff's carefully rehearsed lines evaporated into smoke, and Gutfeld's sarcasm became the flame that burned the script to ashes.
We knew it would be bad when the Republicans took over, but it's far worse than we expected.
Cue the violins, people. But can he promise you this?
But I can promise you this is not the end of my fight for our democracy. This is just the beginning. Please join us and contribute today. Thank you.
Here's my question. How much will it cost for you not to run?
Schiff didn't lose on facts. He lost on perception. And in politics, perception is everything. Schiff wasn't the hero he imagined. He was the man exposed, mocked, and reduced to a meme. His gravitas shattered, his aura gone, his words forgotten. What remained was laughter, and laughter always lingers longer than speeches. This was Greg Gutfeld's masterclass. He didn't argue, he didn't debate, he destroyed, with wit, timing, and the kind of sarcasm that doesn't just sting, it scars. Schiff wanted to look untouchable. Instead, he left as the punchline. Schiff's downfall wasn't sealed by policy arguments or legal debates. It was laughter that took him down. The second the audience stopped nodding and started chuckling, his authority melted faster than ice under a flamethrower. Schiff thought doubling down would rescue him. Instead, every extra line became new material for Gutfeld's firestorm of mockery. Schiff became the magician who keeps pulling scarves out of his sleeve, insisting a rabbit will appear next. But after years of scarves, people stop watching. Gutfeld seized that truth and turned it into entertainment.
That and the fact that Schiff hasn't blinked since 1992. And he didn't take the news so well. The disgraced Democrat went on TikTok to complain. Behold.
Hello, I'm Congressman Adam Schiff with some troubling news. Today, Kevin McCarthy removed me from the House Intelligence Committee, all for doing my job, for holding Trump accountable and standing up to the extreme MAGA Republicans.
Schiff wasn't exposing corruption. He was exposing his own tired routine. And once comedy revealed that, no solemn speech could put the illusion back together. The moment Speaker McCarthy announced Schiff's punishment, Democrats erupted with hysterics. Schiff tried to spin it as a historic outrage, a moment of martyrdom. But Gutfeld wasn't having it. He cut through the noise, mocking the tantrum, turning Schiff's supposed tragedy into a circus. Schiff begged for sympathy. Gutfeld handed him ridicule instead. That was the brilliance. Schiff's gravitas depended on fear and solemn tones. Gutfeld's comedy replaced fear with laughter. And once laughter entered the equation, Schiff had nothing left. He couldn't pivot, he couldn't adapt, because his entire brand was built on being taken seriously. Without that, he was just a man in a suit, waving empty warnings. Schiff wanted to be the detective in a gripping drama, chasing clues no one else could see. But Gutfeld recast him as the overeager cop who can't catch the suspect and keeps tripping over his own shoelaces. Schiff's serious face became comedy gold. His dramatic pauses turned into setups, his warnings into punchlines. Every audience chuckle was another crack in Schiff's armor. He didn't even notice. He believed his words carried weight, but the only weight left was the laughter dragging him down. He kept pushing forward with more of the same. Each recycled line just proved Gutfeld's point.
Yesterday's hearings, I had so much fun. I'm back, baby. Pretty soon I'll have my high-back chairman's chair again.
I don't understand. You're happy I didn't realize you were, don't you realize that you were censored by a majority in Congress?
Yes! Isn't it wonderful? I'm very pro-censorship. Censorship. Oh my, that's hard to say. The point is, the cameras are on me again, and this time I'm ready for my close-up, Mr.
Schiff was stuck in reruns, and that was the true collapse. Schiff didn't just lose an argument, he lost credibility. He lost the ability to command a room. He lost the illusion of authority that had carried him for years. In politics, once that cloak is ripped away, it never comes back. Gutfeld ripped it off with one smirk. The power dynamic flipped entirely. Schiff, once seen as the stern watchdog of democracy, now looked like a frazzled actor in a cancelled soap opera. His aura shattered, his gravitas exposed as stage lighting. Gutfeld didn't just roast him, he rebranded him forever. Schiff wasn't serious. He was laughable. Schiff's every attempt to project dignity only fueled the comedy. He promised revelations that sounded like cliffhangers. But Gutfeld reminded everyone those cliffhangers had been empty for years. Schiff was selling reruns, and the audience was done pretending they were blockbusters. It was almost painful to watch. Almost. Schiff begged to be taken seriously, while Gutfeld sat back and let the laughter do the work. Schiff wanted history books. He got memes instead. Schiff wanted to be remembered for gravitas. He'll be remembered for being roasted. The genius of Gutfeld's attack was that it didn't require proof, footnotes, or charts. He simply pointed out what everyone already knew deep down.
Troubled by this. Even though I know it's not real, I'm bothered. Finally, Congressman, you're running for an open U.S. Senate seat in California. What's your message to voters who might be skeptical of your agenda?
I think you mean my agenda. That's how I say it now. I like the hard G, because that's what I'll do. Do you like impeachment? That's my agenda. Vote for me and I'll do it agenda. And I have one man to thank for all of this. The Orange Man himself. If you excuse me, I'm going to go celebrate with a glass of wine.
Done for Adam Schiff, because he created 3 years of a massive fallacy that did so much damage to this country and made us miss probably one of the most important stories of our lifetime. We were having hearings on impeachment while the coronavirus was exploding.
Schiff's drama was a performance, and a stale one at that. Comedy exposed the truth faster than any committee hearing ever could, and the timing couldn't have been worse for Schiff. Booted from the Intelligence Committee, mocked in public, and now reduced to a man begging for relevance. His TikTok video, complaining about being removed, became a viral punchline. Schiff thought he was rallying support. Instead, he became another meme on an app run by foreign adversaries. Even Schiff's Senate run announcement fell flat. He rolled out a slick, polished ad right after getting booted, but the connection was obvious. He wasn't running out of principle. He was running out of desperation. And Gutfeld made sure the world saw it that way. The takedown wasn't just about Schiff's failures. It was about what his collapse symbolized. A generation of politicians believed gravitas could mask everything, that if you said democracy, national security, and integrity with enough weight, the audience would fall in line. Schiff was their poster child, and Gutfeld showed how fragile that entire act had become. Schiff tried to play chess, moving pieces carefully, whispering warnings. Gutfeld flipped the board, laughed at the pieces, and the crowd laughed with him. Schiff couldn't fight back. If he showed anger, he looked weak. If he tried humor, it fell flat. He was trapped, and that's the cruelest twist of all. Schiff wasn't just mocked for one night. He was branded. Every future speech will be haunted by the memory of laughter. Every dramatic pause will echo with mockery. Schiff thought he was untouchable. Gutfeld proved he was laughable. By the end of this clash, Schiff wasn't standing on principle. He was standing on ashes. The brand he built, serious, solemn, untouchable, was demolished. Greg Gutfeld didn't need a debate. He needed one night, one smirk, and one relentless barrage of sarcasm. Schiff entered the stage as a watchdog. He left as a punchline.